Many modern horror movies take their time getting to the good stuff. They want to build tension, make us feel relaxed before thrusting jumpscare after jumpscare in our face or some terrifying plot twist. I mean, half an hour passes in Psycho before Marion Crane takes her fateful shower. However, there is something exciting about a movie getting right to the scares as soon as the lights go down, opening with a big shock, leaving us on edge for the rest of the movie. So today on Top 5 Scary Videos, I'm going to be counting down our list of the top 5 scary horror movie openings. Before we begin though, be sure to stick around until the end of the video where I'll be responding to some of your comments. And with that, let's jump in. In at number 5 we have Suspiria. Released in 1977 and directed by the legendary Italian director Dario Argento, Suspiria stars Jessica Harper as an American ballet student who transfers to a prestigious dance academy in Germany, but quickly realizes after a series of brutal murders that the academy is a front for a supernatural conspiracy. The film kicks off with a simple black and white title sequence before cutting to a stylishly colourful world, where we first meet Susie, the American student. When she pulls up to her new home in the pouring rain, we quickly switch focus to a frantic woman fleeing the school on foot, before taking refuge in a friend's apartment where she is attacked by a supernatural assailant as the soundtrack whips into a frenzy. The scene culminates in a bloody hanging death, with the killer even reaching into the body of the woman and grabbing her heart. It is absolutely brutal but incredibly stylish, setting us up for what is to come, which isn't a typical fairy tale story but something dark and menacing. Suspiria is truly a work of art right from the beginning, with an equally superb score by Goblin. In at number 4 we have Scream. Scream will forever have one of the most terrifying, bloodiest and downright emotional opening scenes in any horror movie, and that is thanks to the amazing acting by Drew Barrymore. Released back in 1996, Scream is a slasher directed by Wes Craven and follows the character of Sidney Prescott, a high school student in the fictional town of Woodsboro, California, who becomes the target of a mysterious killer in a Halloween costume known as Ghostface. Functioning almost as a 13-minute standalone short film, the opening sequence to Scream packs a huge punch and informs us of the rules of horror movies right from the very start. Drew Barrymore plays Casey, a high school student home alone who gets a phone call from an unknown man. He quizzes her on horror movies, threatening to kill her if she fails, and guess what? He does just that. She is chased around her home by Ghostface as she attempts to escape and flee to the car of her parents who have just returned home, but it is too late. Ghostface stabs her in the heart and leaves her to die while she still clutches to the phone, begging for help as her parents listen on. The scene is truly terrifying and emotional, but more than anything, it comes as a huge surprise, considering the simple fact that Wes Craven wanted to fool people into believing that Casey's character was safe, with him casting Barrymore, a huge name actress, assuring us that she would carry the movie, but boy oh boy were we wrong. She was front and center on the poster of the movie, but lasted just a mere 13 minutes. In at number 3, Darkness Falls. Now I should preface this point by saying that Darkness Falls is a truly terrible movie. It's predictable and a paint-by-numbers horror that has very few jump scares, but despite that, it does have one of the scariest opening scenes to exist in the horror genre. Released in 2003 and directed by Jonathan Liebsman, Darkness Falls follows Kyle Walsh, who witnesses his mother's murder at the hands of the spirit of a woman lynched by an angry mob more than 150 years ago. 12 years later, he returns to his childhood home because Michael Green, the young brother of his romantic interest Caitlin, is being stalked by Kyle's mother's supernatural killer. The whole film's a mess, so Kyle must protect him from this powerful enemy and put an end to its killing spree. The movie kicks off with Kyle laying in bed before being awoken by an unknown force and a terrifying sound. He looks around his room before seeing a shadow behind his door. Pulling the covers over his eyes, he grabs his flashlight as we hear the presence get closer and closer to his bed. In a moment of bravery, he pulls the covers back to reveal a masked face before blinding it with his light. Enter the mother, who is awoken by his screams. She assures him there is no one in the house but them, but he isn't so sure. She returns to her room when, bam, she is attacked and killed by the masked entity. The entire scene is haunting, and when the camera pulls back at the end to reveal the monster floating above the door, it fills the audience with a chilling sense of unease for what is to come. Sadly though, the movie fell flat right after that moment. Coming in at 2 we have Jaws. Released in 1975, Jaws still remains one of the scariest movies with one of the greatest opening scenes of all time. Directed by Steven Spielberg, Jaws follows a man-eating great white shark that begins attacking beachgoers at a summer resort town, prompting police chief Martin Brody to hunt it down with the help of a marine biologist and a professional shark hunter. The movie kicks off with a group of teens partying on the beach before one of the girls, Chrissy, runs off with a guy for a relaxing relaxing skinny dip on a nice summer evening. However, instead of a pleasant swim, Chrissy ends up as shark food, with her floating in the water right before the great white comes from beneath the surface, latching onto her legs, terrifying audience members. Chrissy screams out, being thrashed around before disappearing beneath the surface and never returning. The scene is haunting and has lingered with movie lovers for decades. However, we're still filming the scene was just as an unpleasant experience. Spielberg encountered issues with the mechanical shark, with the screams we hear in the movie being ones of actual pain and terror, with it being said that the woman who played Chrissy actually breaking some of her ribs in the process. Despite this, what makes the scene so damn terrifying is the simple fact that we never see the beast, only its point of view as it gets closer and closer to Chrissy's lower half as she gets thrashed around, gurgling. It hurts. It is a scene that many think of when they go to dip their toes in any body of water. You never know what might be lurking beneath. And finally, in at number 1 we have 28 Weeks Later. Released in 2007 and directed by Juan Carlos Fresnadillo, 28 Weeks Later is the sequel to the 2002 film 28 Days Later, and is set after the events of the first film, depicting the efforts of NATO military forces to salvage a safe zone in London. The consequence of 2 young siblings breaking protocol to find their infected mother, and the resulting reintroduction of the rage virus to the safe zone. Now, the movie kicks off with eerie silence, setting a mood for this haunting horror. However, the silence crumbles when a young boy comes knocking on the door of a barricaded cottage housing Don and his wife. They let him in, but quickly discover that the infected have followed the boy, leading to them breaking in and killing many of the survivors, while Don, Alice, and the boy are chased upstairs. Don begs his wife to leave the boy, but she refuses, wanting to stay and protect him. A bad move though, because Don then breaks out the window, leaving the pair behind as he watches his wife get dragged away by the infected. However, the most haunting moment comes after Don has escaped from the house and begins to run across the fields to escape the zombie horde, and it is so damn terrifying as you can see them in the background sprinting at full speed, coming from every which way, with seemingly no way for Don to escape. However, he just narrowly escapes onto a boat, leaving the horde behind him. Truly though, the beginning of 28 Weeks Later is pure adrenaline ride, with your heart beating a mile a minute. Well, there we have it. Do you guys agree with our list? Are there any horror movie openings that we missed? Leave us all your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below, and perhaps we can do a part 2. Before I go though, I just want to respond to a few comments from one of our last videos. Top 5 scary horror movies that went too far, part 2. Jeremiah the Pisces said, "Brain Dead is so underrated, don't see many talk about it." That's very true. No one does talk about it. Apparently only me, and you're welcome. Steve Cass said, "Oh, thank God Queen Lucy is still around. I was afraid she would be gone. Oh joy, our pretty horror queen is back." Love you think I'm just disappearing every other day. I'm actually here every single day. Just because there's not a video with me in it every single day doesn't mean I'm not here every single day. Ain't going nowhere. Got nowhere to go. Caden Bradley said, "I'm a huge fan and watch literally every video." Well, thank you, Caden. You're a smart mans. Todd Van Dien said, "I come home from work every night knowing I have a new top 5 to watch and I love watching them, plus give me my first shout out." Well, there's your first shout out. I haven't seen your name pop up in the comments before, just saying, but I trust you. I'm sure you're a fan. That dude said, "Lucy, have you said yes to my marriage proposal yet?" I don't remember you proposing, so we'll have to talk about that. Swifty McSwift said, "If I'm not mistaken, Lucy is pregnant." That's news to me, so thanks for letting me know. I didn't know. I'll be sure to inform my family. And on that note, if you haven't already, be sure to give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another scary vid. And until next time, see you later. I think that was supposed to say brutal instead of beautiful. Oh, I haven't had my coffee today. I need one.